Economic Development Authority presents the Candidates Economic Forum, the Youth Perspective. In presenting this, I want to start out with a special thanks to Principal Bill Limble, Lincoln County High School, Lincoln County Board of Education, to our candidates that have taken their time to be with us today. I may mention that all candidates for governor were invited, and these folks were brave enough to face this panel. I don't know if that's good or not. It's a very tough panel. I also want to thank our visitors that are here, and especially the senior class at Lincoln County High School 2011. Thank you for being here. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce to you for our formal welcomes and introductions, the President of the Lincoln County Commission, Mr. Charles McCann.
May I have your attention at this time? Please turn your TVs on to channel 39. Also, due to the activities in the auditorium, we will turn the bells off. We will remain in third period until it is over. We will adjust the schedule for lunch accordingly.
Thank you, Mr. Stutler. It's an honor to be here. It's always an honor to be representing Lincoln County, especially the young people of Lincoln County. You guys just don't know how important you are. Sometimes studying may get tough, sometimes rules at home may get tough, but you're the most important people in Lincoln County because you have stayed in our school system for 12 years, maybe one or two more than that, I don't know, that's a better challenge than ever. But to get your education and accept the challenge that's out there, and surely we're aware of some of those, but it's so important to me and the other people up on this stage that you pursue your education as you have these first 12 years, but look on and do other things, but also be a good citizen. And one of the things that I believe is so important to our republic, to our United States of America, and that is to register to vote and to vote regardless of whatever belief you have. You would not have that opportunity to express that belief if you do not engage in the voting process. That's a right we have and a right we should protect and defend. We've lost lots of lives down through time to have that privilege. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. It's such a great honor to be here and to be with such a young, important, bright, athletic group. As I looked at their information that's provided to me, I look on there and you find people who not only do they believe in the athletics and things like that, but the most important thing is they do their academics. So it's good that we do both. We have to take care of our mind and body. At this time, the moderator of the program, Cody Woodrum, our senior from Alcohol, president of the student government, active in speech and debate, chairman of the school improvement council, and runs track. Cody. Those people in the program will be asking questions in addition to Cody's moderating, will be Morgan Hoke. Morgan being from Branchland, secretary of the student government, varsity cheerleader, president of the National Honor Society, and my vote for Miss America. Austin Lucas. Senior from Ranger, vice president of student government, plays varsity baseball, member of the National Honor Society. Our next person is Jamie Lucas. Also from Ranger. They're dominating this program. Treasurer of the student government, plays varsity baseball, member of the National Honor Society. You know, I keep track of Lincoln High, and I noticed that the girls softball, of course, the involved players in here, softball not, but softball's doing really well. Speech and debate's doing well. It just seems like at the ROTC program, and then just over the weekend, I hear that the mechanics, auto mechanics program is winning the national, I guess the West Virginia participation, and represents at the national. So that's good to hear about Lincoln. We have with us, and as Mr. Stutler indicated, all candidates were invited, and we have with us 3, and we certainly do appreciate them being here and participating in this very important forum for you students. First, good friend John Perdue. Next, we have Ralph William Clark. And last, we have Henry Baker. Thank you. At this time, I turn the program back to Cody.
Hello, everyone. First, I would like to thank all of our candidates for taking their time to come out here to Lincoln County and participate in our program today. Also, I want to thank the members of our senior class in our attendance. And on the behalf of being in the student government and the first-time voter, I'm honored to have these candidates with us today. Now, I would like to give an overview of the guidelines for today. And those in attendance, please hold all responses, such as applauses, to the end of the meeting. To the candidates, this is not a debate. Please address all answers to the panel and not each other. After a question is asked, each candidate will be given a chance to respond to that question. First in alphabetical order, then in reverse. Please limit your responses to 5 minutes each. 3 minutes each. When the final question is announced, you will be given an additional 2 minutes for closing remarks. Before the first question is asked, I would like to share with you some insight about the motivation for our discussion today. As seniors preparing for our graduation, we're understanding more and more each day that very soon we have some major choices to make. Do we go to college or not? Do we pursue specialized training of some kind? Is a high school education enough? What about joining the military? Can I stay around here and find work? And what about marriage? In addition to these traditional choices, as first-time voters, we also have the privilege and responsibility of selecting our state's next governor in what is called an historical election. While it is true we are seeing a historical change in the process, what we really want to see is this historical change in outcomes. As young voters, we are not looking for a handout, but an outstretched hand to help us improve our county. Now, I will turn it over to Morgan to ask our first question.
Hello, I'm Morgan Hoke, and my first question is, this fall I will be attending Marshall University. Although I live approximately 20 miles from campus, I'm having to move to Huntington because the commute is winding and dangerous. If we want to go to a movie, go bowling, or go to the mall, it's much the same story. Do you agree this is a major barrier to growth, and what can be done about it?
And first, we would like to start with Mr. Baker to answer.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you, I didn't quite catch all that
To
question.
repeat the question. This fall, I will be attending Marshall University. Although I just live approximately 20 miles from campus, I'm having to move to Huntington because the commute is winding and dangerous. If we want to go to a movie, go bowling, or go to the mall, it's much the same story. Do you agree this is a major barrier to growth, and what can be done about it?
Well, I appreciate that. ballot. So we're done with our party convention, Republicans and Democrats. We're trying to figure it out.
In answer to your question, I am the former mayor of Richwood, West Virginia. Richwood is not unlike where we are right here. In fact, Richwood has really gone to pieces. And it's because everything has moved over to Somersville, where the Walmart is, the movie theaters, the college, etc., etc. It is really, really a difficult issue for how these small towns can grow economically. It's really, really a problem. If I became the governor of West Virginia, I know when I was the mayor, I had no capital to work with. That's the problem. These towns have vision. Your town has vision, I'm sure. Lots of plans, but no money to implement. I would create a program, and this is not a lot of money, where each town could compete for $1 million to do whatever they wanted to develop their towns economically, and give young people an opportunity to enjoy their towns and work in their towns. You know, I saw in Richwood, where there is no employment for youth. You know, around the rest of the United States, if you wanted to get a job in a mall, you could do that. And you'll have some money in your pocket, you can have a car, and you can buy some jeans, and you can go out to the movies. Around here, that's a real challenge. So I'm all about small town West Virginia. I'm the Green Party candidate. We'll talk more, I'm sure, about that when we get to it. But you know what? Huntington's awful nice. You'll probably enjoy it quite a bit when you get down there.
Thank you very much.
All right, next we have Mr. Clark.
I appreciate your question. Insofar as it's a question about improving roads in West Virginia, I should mention that over the last few months I've driven to many parts of West Virginia, and many of the roads need to be repaired, renovated, bridges need to be replaced. West Virginia could stand a large influx of money into its transportation system. So the question is, where do we get the money to pay for all of the renovation of roads and construction of new roads where they're needed all across the state? When I moved to West Virginia about 40 years ago, you may notice in my accent that I wasn't probably born in West Virginia, but I've lived here for nearly 40 years. I think of myself as a West Virginian. But what I was struck by when I first moved to the state is a great disparity between all of the wonderful natural advantages of West Virginia. It has an excellent climate, an excellent location, it has great scenery, it has very extensive natural resources. As for the people of West Virginia, you can't ask for better neighbors. I learned that early on. There's a cohesiveness among the people of West Virginia, a kind of family feeling. It's a wonderful state in terms of all those natural things, but in terms of the measures of economic well-being, it ranks near the bottom in terms of most of those measures. Average income, for example, even high school graduation rates are not good by comparison to other states. So something in West Virginia is very much out of kilter. The natural advantages versus the reality. West Virginia, I believe, can become a much more prosperous state. It has the potential to become the best state in the country, generating much more revenue for road repair and road construction and replacing bridges. The key here lies in competition with other states. West Virginia has got to compete much better than it has in the past. It just hasn't done very well. It has not been a place where one can conduct business. It needs to overhaul its tax system. It needs much lower corporate taxes. It needs a more competitive severance tax for the energy industry. It needs to streamline all of the rules and regulations and processes involved in running a business. It needs genuinely to put out the welcome mat for businesses to expand within the state and to come into the state from outside the state. That's the number one thing it needs to generate more revenue for lots of different purposes, including road and other infrastructure issues.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. All right, now moving on to our next candidate, Mr. John Perdue.
Thank you very much, and good morning. And as you can tell from my accent, I'm from southern West Virginia. I'm your neighbor from Boone County, Dog Fork Holler, and it's a great honor to be with you. And just like me, young lady, going to higher education is going to open doors of opportunity up for you beyond your expectations. I never dreamed coming from Dog Fork Holler I'd be running for governor of the state of West Virginia. So that's what education will do for you. It would change your life. Now, with that said, let me say this.
I'm running for governor because I have 2 young daughters, like Margaret, that's going to Marshall University. And when they graduate, one of them's graduating on the 15th from WVU, sorry about that, and the other is already graduated, and my older daughter said, Dad, I'm out of here. I said, what do you mean? She said, there's no job. There's no future in West Virginia, and I'm going to Florida. Well, I decided it's time to change things. I'll tell you what's going to change this state. We got to realize we're sitting on another gold mine called Marcellus Shale, the natural gas gold mine. Now you know about black gold, that's where I come from Boone County, called coal, that has driven this state for 100 years, has driven the economy of the Treasurer's Office in the state of West Virginia for over 100 years. Yes, we may have 25 years or 35 years left in coal, but if we don't develop the next gold mine of this state that God has blessed us with, and create jobs and economic development for the whole state, we're going to be lost. First, we have to get the checks and balances in place, just like I have to do in the Treasurer's Office, and cross the T's and dot the I's. We have to get the checks and balances in place and make sure we protect the natural water source, we protect our roads and infrastructure, and we protect our landowners as we drill for this natural gas. But if it's the gold mine everyone says it is, let's get this one right. 3 things. One, I will designate part of that money for the infrastructure of this state, to maintain the secondary roads of this state, build new roads and infrastructure of this state, especially in southern West Virginia. I think it's a crying shame that Lincoln County is 30 minutes from the capital city of this state, and they have no decent road. Can you imagine the economic development coming to Lincoln County if there was roads and infrastructure in this part of the county? We need that. As Southern West Virginia governor, I'll make sure that happens. We'll designate some of that money from the Marcellus Shale to maintain our secondary roads, build new roads. We'll also designate part of that money to return to you, the people that are paying the taxes in this state. Like in Alaska, where they return money in oil to the citizens that pay the taxes in Alaska, I will return a portion of that Marcellus Shale to you, the people, back to the people of this great state in tax rebates for their future. Number 3 is education. Education is what opens up the doors of opportunity for any child in this state.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perdue. Now, moving on to the next question, which will be asked by Austin.
I'm Austin Lucas. The Lincoln Journal recently reported that Lincoln County has the lowest wages in the region. Why do you think that is, and what can be done about it?
Starting with Mr. Baker.
Well, it's interesting. I completely agree with my fellow panelists here. You know, it's amazing to me that after 100 years of King coal, the absolute poorest counties in the state of West Virginia are the ones that have given the most. Really, coal has had a pretty close to free ride in our state, and in this last 25 to 30 years of coal, we need to, just as Mr. Perdue said, capture more of that money and begin creating alternative jobs, alternative green jobs, and moving towards West Virginia's future. You know, we're right down there at the bottom with Mississippi, and I've often asked, why is it that a state that's producing 15% of the electricity for the whole United States and has the finest hardwood forest in the nation and the greatest people, why are we in a three-legged race with Mississippi to see who can be the poorest state in the Union? Now, Mr. Perdue is right. Marcellus Shale can be a big thing for us, but we've got to have some protections. I'm holding here in front of you a document. This is from Dawson Geophysical. You know what? I have a farm in Greenbrier County. I bought it from my grandma. It's been in the family for 100 years. These folks want to come on my land. They want to test. They want to blow it up. And they want to come and around me. Now, this is kind of interesting. If you stand on my mountaintop, which is 4,000 feet up, you can look around, you can see 300,000 corporately held acres. But you know what? they're not content to come on my land, threaten my well, my foundation. So Marcellus Shale could be a good thing. We need to rake money off the top. Same thing with coal. I totally agree with Mr. Perdue. These counties that have given the most, and they've given and given and given and given, if we would have took 1 penny off of every ton of coal that came out of Lincoln County and Boone County and all these other counties, we'd have downtown development. We'd have physical therapy places. We'd have exercise facilities. We'd have economic development. But it just didn't happen. So now it's time, with the last years of coal's already in decline. Not because of the EPA, it's because of the Powder River Basin in Wyoming. You know, we used to be #1. Now we're #2. We've gone from 180 million tons of coal to 140 million tons of coal. Do you know how much coal Wyoming produced last year? 400 million tons of coal and growing. Coal's days in West Virginia are waning, but now we need to create our future and look not backwards, but forwards. Because you guys are the future. We need to create a future for you here.
All right, thank you. Now, same question on to Mr. Clark.
It's an excellent question. It gets to the heart of values that lie within the mainstream of Republican candidates. All of us on the Republican side agree that we need very much to overhaul the economy. We need lower taxes and lower compliance costs. Now, what I think sets me apart as a candidate is that I believe that we need to make West Virginia a state that's attractive in all possible ways. We need to be pro-business. We need to do all we can to make it easier for energy companies to be profitable in terms of lowering corporate taxes and compliance costs and streamlining all the procedures involved in running a business. We want to make it easy for large companies and small companies to make a profit. But at the same time, just as importantly, we want to be sure that all of the profits are earned in a thoroughly ethical fashion. We want to have in place comprehensive economic and ethical reforms. We need West Virginia to become a state that does everything right so as to attract people to the state, especially in an area such as this. It's not that far from neighboring states. Border areas in West Virginia especially suffer from the fact that West Virginia is not competitive with other states. It has a much worse tax structure, a much worse compliance picture. It does not have the welcome mat out for businesses, and that hurts us in relation to neighboring states. We need to diversify the economy, do as much as we can to strengthen the energy industry, yes. The Marcellus Shale especially, that's very promising, but not put our eggs all in that one basket. As far as Lincoln County is concerned, it's a wonderful place. It could support a diverse economy if the state itself provided the right kind of economic and ethical background. So let's make West Virginia pro-business, but not just pro-business. It should be pro-labor, pro-blue collar, pro-white collar, pro-rich, pro-poor, pro-everyone.
Thank you, Mr. All right, now moving on, second question to Mr. Perdue.
It's about small businesses. It's about a long-term plan for the state of West Virginia. Small businesses are 90% of the businesses of this state. I know because I'm your state treasurer. If we do not do long-term planning for this state and small businesses to help children, students like you, that are coming out in the real life, to be trained in technical education and vocational education, to be able to encourage them to go on into higher education, you cannot change West Virginia's future. But if we're going to help small businesses in this state, when they create a job, whether it's 1 job, 2 jobs, or 5 jobs, those jobs stay in West Virginia. Those people build a home in West Virginia. They buy their groceries. They send their kids to school in West Virginia. It grows West Virginia's economy. So we have to do something to help develop small business in this state, which is the backbone of the economy of this state, to be stronger, given the tax breaks that are needed. They don't get the tax break that large businesses get, big companies that come into the state, that we give away the farm, we give away the state. And they come in here, some of them may still be here and may stay here, but a lot of them come in here, they take our tax breaks, and then they leave, and they leave us holding the bag. We have to change that. We have to change for the future. We have to put the infrastructure in, water, sewage, and infrastructure in, roads, to be able to attract those businesses, keep those small businesses, get the spin-off jobs of the Marcellus Shale, whether it's in plastics or whatever it might be, get them located in the right places, do the research, create the business, technical education for the students, and vocational education, so when you come out of high school, you have a job waiting on you, period. If you don't have a long-term plan, you're a failure. And I have a long-term plan for the state of West Virginia. You go to my website, you can see that plan. And I have a plan for southern West Virginia, the northern part of the state, the eastern panhandle. All of us are different, and every one of us have different focuses to what we need to focus on to create jobs and economic development.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perdue. Also, I've been told to mention that we need to start limiting down to 2 minutes per question. Now, we will proceed with our next question. Mr. Lucas.
Hello, I'm Jamie Lucas. In our economic brief meeting the other day, Cody asked about the airport that was supposed to be built in the Lincoln County area. The EDA director tried to explain it, but I want to hear from you. What happened to our airport that was supposed to be built in our area, the regional airport?
This question will be directed to Mr. Perdue.
When it came to the regional airport, which I desperately think we probably needed for this area of the state, going to come down to it, Kanawha County killed the airport. Simple as that. I'm the kind of guy that tells the truth. The county commission would not go along with putting it on the ballot to allow the citizens of Kanawha County to vote on a regional airport. They want a Yeager airport and they want to remain Yeager airport. That airport wasn't about passenger transportation. It was about economic development. It was about putting an infrastructure together in the state like Toyota that's at Putnam County that could ship whole tractor trailer loads of cars, where we can make the whole car in West Virginia. And we can just load them into cargo planes and ship them out to all over this country, where we are within 60% of the population of this state, of this nation. And so the airport was killed. The future of southern West Virginia and Lincoln County and the whole part of this part of the state was killed because of the airport thought they was going to lose passenger airport versus the cargo airport, where we could attract businesses into the state that could ship out UPS or whatever it might be all over this country, where they could land huge planes to ship all over the eastern part of the United States. So I think we left a great opportunity pass us by.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perdue. Same question for you, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, I certainly agree. It's a very bad thing that we don't have that airport. As far as the governor's office is concerned, the main task the governor of the state faces is to be fair to all the different regions. This can be very difficult. On the one hand, the governor has got to assess the relative needs of different areas in terms of infrastructure and in other aspects of the economy of the state. The governor has to have a very good sense of just what the needs are for the southern part of the state and the eastern part and the northern panhandle and the other regions, and try to find exactly the right balance so that the perception is very clear to people within the state and outside the state, that the governor especially representing the state government of West Virginia is wholly fair and impartial all across the state. This is a very difficult task. It involves balancing competing values. There's the question of the needs that the different regions have, and there's also the question of the economic potential that various regions have. These can be conflicting criteria. My own background is in education. I'm professor and chair of the philosophy department at WVU, and I've written extensively about ethical issues, ethical principles and economic principles and how those interact. My specialty is, in fact, the area where one tries to find methods and principles and ways of arguing so as to produce the right kind of ethical balance. I would bring that to the governorship. It would help the state of West Virginia greatly in terms of the image it has at home, that it's impartial. Government never plays favorites, but it does look out for the special interests of all the different regions. It would make West Virginia a much more attractive place, and it would improve the image that West Virginians have of themselves, and very much the image that people outside of West Virginia have of West Virginia, make it a much more prosperous state so it could improve airports and other infrastructure all across the state.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clark. Now, same question for you, Mr. Baker.
Yes, I think Mr. Perdue has answered that question very effectively. I did want to go back to something Mr. Clark said, which I disagree with him on, and that he says to allow the energy companies to make profits. Oh, they are making profits. Trust me, they're doing quite well. And sometimes, unfortunately, at the expense of miners themselves. Now, what happened at Upper Big Branch? That was pure murder. And Don Blankenship said in the Charleston Daily Mail, his quote, not taken out of context, this was after the men died. He said, "I'm too smart to send my men into a dangerous mine." No, Mr. Blankenship, you're not too smart. You did send your men into a dangerous mine. But they just couldn't say it because they knew if they did, they'd lose their jobs. If I get elected governor, we're going to make our mines safe. That's one thing's for sure. We're also going to assess the minerals and gas underneath the ground, which the state has never done. That would be a whole lot of money for roads, education, and infrastructure. You know what? I'm for West Virginia. I'm not against coal. I'm not against gas. But I think the people should come first. And I think the land and the water should come first, not the other way around.
So about the topic at hand, how about the airport?
I said I agree with Mr. Perdue.
Okay.
He had answered the question that the Charleston Airport basically trumped the proposal down here.
Okay. All right. Next question, moving on, back to Mr. Baker, which will be asked by Ms. Morgan.
As students, we're subjected to a grading system. What grade would you give state government for working with counties like Lincoln to improve their economy, and how would you improve that?
Well, I'd give it a poor grade, really. Why are the counties that have given the most the poorest? This makes no sense to me. More of the Severance Coal money should have come back here, and it should have been going on for years and years and years. It's very late in the day for this, but better late than never. And as far as the issue of fairness, I remember when I was the mayor of Richwood, we had a track in Richwood that needed to be redone, and we'd scrape together a bunch of money, but we were still $20,000 short. Meanwhile, Summersville High School, and that's where the county commission was based, they were getting AstroTurf. You know, I think that like Tiny Tim, those that have the least should get the most biscuits at the meal. So when I'm looking at Lincoln County and southern West Virginia, these are our brothers and sisters. You are our brothers and sisters who have given the most but have gotten the least. It's time to turn that around.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baker. Second question, Mr. Clark.
As far as the energy industry is concerned and its impact on counties such as Lincoln, I certainly agree with Henry that we need to look after the safety issues, but I want to also comment on his earlier comment on what I said about companies making profits. The best way to bring revenue into Lincoln County, indeed into all the counties of West Virginia, is on the one hand to support much more effectively and comprehensively basic capitalistic values. We need to make it much easier for businesses to be profitable so that we can attract businesses and so that then we can hold them to high ethical standards. If they're making a lot of money, then we can charge higher fees. I believe in having quite a bit higher fees for permits for drilling wells in the Marcellus Shale, as an example. If the companies have more money and then we expect a great deal more of them, that will benefit everyone concerned. It'll benefit the workers, the miners will benefit, it'll benefit the citizens of counties where the mines or the gas wells are located. People will be safer, the companies will turn over more revenues to the state and to the counties where they're located, and life will be much more satisfactory for both the citizens and the employees.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Yeah, same question. Mr. Perdue.
It comes down to a long-term plan of the state. A governor that's willing to come down to a county, sit down with the community leaders, the education leaders, the people of this state, labor leaders of the county, put a plan together for Lincoln County, a plan together for the whole southern part of the state. You have to be able to work with the people. We've had a tendency in Charleston to dictate what we want county governments to do, what we want Board of Educations to do. I believe in more local control. I believe we should be sending more money down to the local Board of Educations to decide whether they want to put more money into it. Teachers' salaries, in the equipment, in the technology, what they want to spend it on. We got to give more local control to the counties. They know best of what is needed for their county than I believe Charleston does. Number two is we got to work with small businesses to help develop the businesses in the county and grow the business in the county. Where is the loan going to come from? I've offered to create a small business loan bank to help small businesses develop and grow their businesses. Because if they grow their business and they hire someone from their county, it grows the economy in Lincoln County. We have to put an infrastructure plan together for the county, for water, sewage, roads. What kind of road is needed to develop Lincoln County? I believe we need better roads than what we have. So we have to work together to put that long-term plan together to change Lincoln County and change any county in this state.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perdue. All right, our next question, moving on to Ms. Ross-Lucas. Same question will be directed towards Mr. Perdue.
We compete athletically as a AAA school. Our school building is AAA, our facilities are not. I know as a member of the baseball team, we have to be released early sometimes in order to get our games in before darkness, whereas other schools with lights do not. I believe safety should be the most important issue, and baseball and softball cannot be played in the dark. And I don't know if you noticed on the way over, the softball field has lights because of a lot of hard work and no funding from the state. A large number of visitors to our county come here with competing teams. Negative first impressions hurt our county and ultimately our chances for economic growth. Would you support the school building authority to at least participate in funding these facilities, changing guidelines for it?
First of all, absolutely. I believe every school should be treated equally. And if one school has been given lights for the baseball field or football field, every school should be entitled for the same thing. Now, with that said, I believe in more community control of education. I really believe in smaller schools. I believe that is what has made a difference in my life. I believe in smaller class sizes. I believe in more local control in education for the County Board of Education's control the future of the county. So I'm more community type schools that will change kids' lives instead of bigger and better schools don't always work.
Well, thank you, Mr. Perdue. Same question, Mr. Collins.
I agree with my fellow candidate that we certainly need to be fair in terms of allocation of resources in education. As I see it, I have something of an outsider's perspective on West Virginia, having lived in other states before moving here many years ago. And it strikes me that the main thing that education in West Virginia needs is a higher level of funding. Sad to say, the state has simply not been prosperous enough to support education properly. It needs to be a much richer state, and it can become a much richer state so that it can afford the lights that you refer to and can afford many other sorts of improvements in education all across the state. As I said before, it just does not make sense to me that West Virginia, with all its natural advantages, is not a much more prosperous state. It has a long history of government taking small steps toward making West Virginia a better state. But those small steps have unhappily not added up to a great deal over many, many decades. What we need is a large jump forward. I see the governor as being much like an effective football coach. Suppose the football coach at spring practice told the team, let's show everyone we're going to be a little bit better than last year. No, what the coach says is, let's show everyone that we're going to beat a lot of other teams. I believe that West Virginia can become a state that is much, much more attractive than other states. It can be the best state. It can beat the other states. But it's got to get its act together very, very fast in terms of the comprehensive set of economic and ethical reforms to which I'm referring in all of my remarks. It's got to move fast because other states are trying very hard to improve their economic situation. I heard the new governor of Ohio recently on TV saying that maybe Ohio could become the best state in the country. I can't stand the thought that a boring state like Ohio would beat out West Virginia. We can become the best state. We have what it takes.
All right, thank you. Same question, Mr. Baker.
Well, first, congratulations on pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and going ahead and getting those lights. You know, I know that's not easy to do stuff like that, but you know, there is a feeling when you do stuff by yourself that is validating and good. You'd already heard me address the issue of what Richwood versus Somersville and how unfair that was, and if you put those ramifications across the state, it's the same story. We have an opportunity in West Virginia as an energy-producing state to create our future. We need to be raking money off the top of coal and Marcellus Shale and creating broadband and better schools and opportunities for people to go to schools, not just with the Promise Scholarship, but with the hidden Promise Scholarship like we do at Glenville. I'd like to see not just the cream getting the Promise Scholarships, but I'd like to see scholarships for those B students who've done community service and helped their own communities. Probably some of those very folks who helped fundraise to get those lights as you scrape to get them. You know, there's a lot of folks out there who don't have the money. I think that the Promise Scholarship, honestly, if you only have one child going to school and you make over $150,000, you should be able to pay for your child to go to school. That money should be going to poor people in Lincoln County who might need it a lot more to go to Marshall or whatever. So, congratulations on your lights. It'd be nice if the state would help you and partner with you, the small schools. I'm all for small schools. Small schools are where it's at.
All right, thank you. Next question, which will be asked by Jamie Lucas, and will be directed toward Mr. Baker.
Social issues often have economic consequences. The Lincoln Journal reported recently that just in the last few years, the high school dropout rate has increased dramatically, and that the teen birth rate has tripled the national benchmark since consolidation. School consolidation has negative impacts, and what are your plans to address the problem? And knowing these negative effects, would you continue to consolidate across West Virginia?
You know, I really do not like consolidation. I just think that when you consolidate a school, it gets bigger, it gets less personal, you have less teams, the communities that get consolidated shrink. I mean, I'm thinking about Richwood. I like to speak from the specifics. Richwood is in such bad shape economically, truly. The main street is dead. There's nothing, no stores, all the stores are empty. Everything is in Somersville by the Walmart. The only thing that Richwood still has is its high school. That's its team, its band, all the rest of it. If Richwood would lose its high school, it would lose its last shred of dignity and hope. And some people are saying, you know what, maybe it should just be, there's some talk of that. Just move everything over to Somersville and Richwood will lose its last piece. So, I support small schools, I support small elementary schools, and I think I've actually answered your question, haven't I? I support small schools.
Well, thank you. Now, same question for you, Mr. Clark.
It's hard for me to say in a general fashion which is best to support additional consolidation or to oppose it, because there are arguments on both sides. Now, I'm not an authority in the area of education and educational administration, so I wouldn't try to second guess the professionals. As governor, I would want to place in the appropriate administrative position educational professionals who could make the right sorts of decisions in terms of that question of consolidation versus smaller schools. There are advantages to both, certainly economic advantages to consolidation, and I understand them, at least I understand them to a degree. I don't know the entire picture that lies behind the move all across the state toward consolidation. As far as the earlier remarks that the questioner asked about high school dropout rates as an example of what was mentioned, it seems to me that one of the main things that can be done in West Virginia is to provide a good deal more external motivation for people to stay in school. If they face the prospect once they graduate of going on to college and then getting a good job within West Virginia, or not going on to college, just graduating from high school and getting a good job within West Virginia, that will motivate them to want to stay in high school, to prepare for college if that's their goal, or prepare for some good job once they leave high school. That won't happen until we have economic and ethical reforms in West Virginia. We've got to have the comprehensive package of reforms to which I've been referring that will make West Virginia a much more attractive state and bring in companies and bring in jobs and bring in prospects to people with high school degrees and college degrees. Motivate them to stay in the state by making it a much more attractive state in terms of jobs to remain in. That can certainly be done. I know it can be done. It's not rocket science in terms of the underlying economic and ethical principles. They're there to be understood. It's a matter of applying them. It's a matter of having the right leadership in the governor's office to spearhead and inspire others in the government to push the state toward that goal.
All right, thank you. Same question, Mr. Perdue.
And that right leadership's right here. Southern West Virginia, John Perdue. You have to have a plan for education in this state. Consolidation has not been the plan of work. When you take the community school out of the community, you take the heart out of the community. What we need to do is understand education is the key that will open up the doors of opportunity for kids in their life. And we have to attract good teachers to all counties. I want to create the West Virginia Teachers Corps to encourage kids to go into education in college, to be a teacher. And if they will come to areas of the state that need good teachers, and whether it's Lincoln County, McDowell County, Calhoun County, and you can name about every county in the state, where the teachers can come and teach, we'll pay their tuition back. If they will come and teach in a certified field, to teach in that field and change kids' lives, it will change West Virginia's lives. We need broadband in this state, all the state, just not part of the state. And we need kids taking home a laptop in their backpack because they're connected to the world in their pocket. In their pocket, they're connected to the world, and they're competing in a world economy. And we need to get rid of the heavy books they're carrying, get the laptop, get teachers teaching in the technology age, changing kids' future because they can text faster with 2 thumbs than you can type. And we have to get online teaching. If it's calculus is not being taught at a high school, then we need to teach it online where someone can teach calculus in 4 or 5 or 10 high schools at one time with a supervisor in the classroom to help. We have to realize education changes kids' lives, and we need to get more education into the school system and get into the 21st century so you, the next generation that's following you, is competing for a job right now, 10 years before they ever get out of high school.
Thank you, Mr. Perdue. Next question, which will be the final question, which will be asked about.
In preparing for this meeting today, I learned that Appalachian Regional Commission lists Lincoln and 9 other West Virginia counties as distressed economically. Even more disturbing is that this has been the case for longer than I've been alive. We can do better. Do you agree that the next governor should focus more attention and resources on these 10 counties?
Question starting with Mr. Perdue.
Absolutely. It's one of the reasons I'm running for governor. We have to have a long-term plan for Southern West Virginia. When I got off the school bus, when I was growing up, my mom was there waiting on me. Nowadays, when kids get off the school bus, because both parents are working or they're single parent, there's no one waiting on that kid when they get off the school bus. We have a huge drug problem in this state. Huge drug problem all the way down to our communities and rural areas. We have to straighten that up. We have to have some after-school programs. We have to change the future of West Virginia. But we have to have a long-term plan for economic development in Southern West Virginia when coal is gone, 25, 35 years from now. I've been married longer than that. It's not going to be long. Coal is not going to be here. What is the future for West Virginia and Southern West Virginia in these 10 counties? We better put a long-term plan together, figure out where the jobs are going to come from, what the spin-off industry is going to be, or we got a 4-lane highway called Quarter G to nowhere. It's simple as that. I was born and raised in Dog Fork Holler, and I can go back to that same holler, playing the same creek that I played in when I was a boy, the same sewage, it's no water, no infrastructure, but we have a 4-lane highway. We have to have a plan for Southern West Virginia. I will step up to the plate, and I will put that plan together.
All right, thank you. Second question, Mr. Clark.
It doesn't make sense to me that an area such as Southern West Virginia, where we have immensely valuable resource, coal, why it has been so poor, it has done so badly over such a long time. Obviously, the policies that the state has enforced and the kinds of economic activities that have been encouraged within West Virginia have not worked out very well. Large-scale change is needed for West Virginia, we can't rely wholly upon coal, as my fellow candidate points out. Coal will be gone in a few years. We can't rely upon it. So what West Virginia has got to do is to emphasize to people within West Virginia and outside of West Virginia the need to change the image of the state. We're not a state that simply charges forward full blast and tries to make use of our resources, exploiting the coal. We need to take a much more cautious and measured approach to change our image as a state that does everything right so that we can diversify the economy and bring many other kinds of businesses into southern West Virginia. We absolutely have got to do that, and we should start right away by doing that. West Virginia should become known as a state that has the highest safety standards, that has the highest environmental standards in terms of the gas industry and the coal industry. We need to put out the word that we're cautious in regard to mountaintop removal, mining, for example. It has certain advantages, especially in places where the coal seams are very thin. It can be very hard to have an underground mine, so maybe mountaintop removal mining has some pluses, but as a long-term strategy, it needs to be looked at again and very carefully. I myself favor a moratorium on mountaintop removal mining, and until we become entirely clear that's the best thing for the people of West Virginia, for the long-term economic well-being of the southern part of the state, for the image of the state. There are many different facets to this that I could address, but I don't have time to do all of that. We need, I say, to have a new moral consciousness within West Virginia in terms of an entire package of reform so as to make people appreciate that West Virginia is a wonderful state to locate many different kinds of businesses, not just energy business.
Same question, Mr. Baker.
Well, you know, the Bible says the last shall be first. And I think it's time for southern West Virginia to get to be first. I'll just tell you that right now. We've had too much taken and not enough given back. As far as mountaintop removal is concerned, you know, the Mountain Party is opposed to mountaintop removal, but I want to say something really loud and clear about this. It's true, we've headed down that road, and I don't really think that the Appalachian people want to tear their mountains all to pieces and not reclaim them, and that's what's happening right now. We have given the Appalachian people no choice but to participate in the destruction of their mountains because they have no alternatives. I've got a good friend up on my mountain. He's pulled me out of the ditch in the snow. He's a mountaintop removal guy. I dearly love him, and he's a great fellow. If we're going to get out of the mountaintop removal business, and we are going to get out of that business, and it's not going to be because of the EPA or the governor or anybody else. In 30 years, it'll be done. But we need to create alternative jobs for these people by getting money off the top of coal and Marcellus Shale to create new energy. We ought to go out here and build some solar factories on some of this strip mine land that's sitting out there that doesn't even have trees on it. We ought to be building factories for the workers, for you, some of you who don't want to go to college, you go to college. You know, it's been my dream to run for governor since I was young. I am on the ballot. I am running for governor. I'm really excited by this. You follow your dreams. And we West Virginians, we're wonderful people. What he said is true. West Virginia is an incredibly wonderful state. But it's time for us to get our fair share from the corporations to move ourselves forward. Mr. Perdue is absolutely right. Broadband is critical. This whole state should be blanketed with broadband. Broadband, you cannot go forward without broadband in small business or anything else.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baker. Go ahead, also.
At Lincoln County High School, we currently rent our football field for like $25,000, and we have a new stadium in the plan to be constructed, and we do not have enough funding, even with the help of the Board of Education and the County Commission, with supporting the changing guidelines for the school building authority. If you're elected governor, would you see that this happens?
Now the question will go to Mr. Baker.
In a word, sir, in a word, yes. We're going to change the school bonding authority. That entity has been so inflexible in the way it's looked at the state, both in terms of consolidation and other issues. It's got to start listening a little bit to what the local people want and partnering up and helping to make things happen.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Mr. Call.
Yes, I agree also, and I would point out that as far as school funding goes, West Virginia does need a fundamental sort of change in how money is raised for education. It depends now primarily on property taxes, but we need to cut back on property taxes, especially at the corporate level, taxes on inventory and machinery. And that's an anti-competitive tax. It needs to be cut back. Traditionally, school systems have relied upon a very narrow stream of revenue all across West Virginia. So we need to have a fundamental change in the way that education is funded. No one up to now has supported that kind of fundamental change because people look around the state and they don't see any other revenue streams available. Money isn't just lying around somewhere else that can be put toward education. But money will be available in lots of other areas if West Virginia becomes the much more successful state that it can become.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clark. On to Mr. Perdue.
As I said in the beginning, I'm more for local control of money. I'm more for the state giving more money down to the local Board of Education to determine where they want to put the money, And I believe when it comes to the school building authority, however, yes, we need to be sharing the wealth with every county.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perdue. Now that we are done with all the questions, I would like to give you each candidate several minutes to give final remarks or closing statements, starting with Mr. Perdue.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here today. Very good questions. And thank each and every one of you. You're the future of this great state. Many of you are going to decide the future of this state. My experience, my leadership sets me apart from all the other candidates. I'm the person that took over the treasurer's office that was a laughing stock of the country. I put the professionalism into that office, balanced your budget for the last 14 years, crossed the T's, dotted the I's. The state treasurer's office, for the first time in the history of this state, is triple bond rated. Many of you might not understand that, but that's a standard that Standard & Poor's and Moody's set upon to rate different states. I'm very proud we're one of 5 or 6 states in this country that can say we're triple bond rated, and we have one of the highest bond ratings in the history of this state. I'm also very proud to say that we have paid our bills on time. We are in the black. We, however, need a long-term plan for this state, a plan for the future of your future and the generation that's going to follow you. I'm the person who can put that plan in place. I have a plan for education. I have a plan for economic development. I have a plan for jobs for this state. The most important is I'm a person who will stand up to big businesses. I've stood up to big businesses on high utility rates of this state that has been ripping our seniors off, ripping our young people starting out in life like you. When you get out and start paying your own bills soon, you'll find out that your utility bills will be higher than your rent, or higher than your house payment, or higher than your car payment. There is something wrong with the system. I will take care of the Public Service Commission. I will get the foxes out of the hen house. We will cross the T's, we will dot the I's, and if those utility rate increases are needed, I have nothing against big businesses. But when they make $3.8 billion, and that's with a B, and I understand what that stands for as your treasurer, $3.8 billion profit in this state and share no wealth when our seniors are sitting in homes with their winter coats on, keeping your electric bills down so they can pay it. When our young people are trying to decide whether to pay their car payment or pay their utility payment or pay their rent, there is something wrong. When small businesses are laying people off because the utility rates have gone sky high and they can't afford to keep that extra person on. We have to change West Virginia's future. I'm a person who will stand up to the plate and do that. I've done that in education. I started the school building, started the Smart 529 plan of this state, allowing parents and grandparents to invest in their kids' education, to get a tax break to doing that, encouraging kids to go to college at a very young age. I have proven in the office of returning $100 million of unclaimed property to the citizens of this state, their money, not the state's money to waste, their money, back to the loved ones that was entitled to that money. I'm a person of honesty and integrity. I've proved that in the treasurer's office. I will put the plan together for West Virginia's future. I ask for your vote, I ask for your support, and thank you for coming out this morning.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perdue. Also, a couple of minutes for you, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate all of your questions. I believe that West Virginia needs to be transformed. A step in the right direction, I believe, would be the election of a Republican governor. For a great many years, but for decades, West Virginia has been essentially a one-party oriented system. That's not all bad. Many people in the Democratic Party have great intention, vision, and a good outlook, but they're caught up in a kind of system that contains dysfunctional and perverse incentives, that sort of long-term one-party orientation. That needs to be changed. Likewise, the long-term single emphasis on the energy industry in West Virginia needs to be changed. We need to have a different kind of underlying incentive system in place. But now, if a Republican is elected governor, almost surely for the next year, and then for the next 4 years, the governor will face a Democratic legislature. How will that work out? Well, it seems to me that the essential job of the governor at that stage is to bring people together and not push them apart. Politics, as usual, dictates that we cast our opponent's views in the worst possible light. It seems to me that's entirely wrong. My professional training has taught me to cast my opponent's views in the best possible light, do my absolute best to characterize their views positively, see what they're saying, see the good in their views, and only then, when I set up their position in the strongest way, offer my arguments as to why my position is a superior position. Hopefully they'll see that it is, possibly they won't, but I will do my best to argue for my position on that basis. Doing that brings people together. Politics, as usual, drives people apart. We need to bring people together in West Virginia. Let me close my remarks by saying that I have a way of summing up my approach to West Virginia, my vision for its future and its renovation and all the reforms that we need. A new slogan alongside, well, the wonderful, that's a good slogan for the weekends, but we need a slogan for Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, we need a workaday slogan. Low taxes, least red tape, highest ethics. That's what I stand for as governor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clark. Now, Mr. Baker, a few words for me.
Thank you. First of all, I want you all to give yourselves a big hand for being a class of 2011. Let's hear it. Probably an even bigger hand for listening to us rattle on for about an hour. You know, I am already on the ballot. It's done in the Mountain Party. We had a convention, so you're going to see the name Bob Henry Baber on the ballot. And I go back to where we started this whole thing. Register to vote and vote. I'd like to have your vote on the party of change, of true change in West Virginia, different from the Democrats and Republicans. But you know what? Register and vote your heart. It's an incredibly important right. I'm glad to hear Mr. Perdue talk about the $3.8 billion in profits. We need to take some of that money and start creating West Virginia's future. The truth is, Mr. Clark says he doesn't understand how we got in this hole. I'll tell you how we got in this hole. We've had 100 years of basically coal owning the governor of West Virginia. And that's what's landed us exactly where we are today. King Coal has ruled the roost and told the governor what to do and when to do it. That's coming to an end. That will definitely come to an end. If I get elected governor, even though I'm social, liberal, and environmentalist, fiscal responsibility, that's what I had when I was the mayor. I will cut the governor's salary by 20%. We will not have a celebration sponsored by Big Coal and where only the big wigs and other special interests get to come. We'll have a potluck on the grounds. You bring a dish and your guitar or your banjo. You know, I love West Virginia with all my heart. This is one of the most beautiful states in the Union. Absolutely some of the most beautiful people. I think of my grandmother, how much I loved her. You know, where was our governor when the wild, wonderful whites of West Virginia started showing up on HBO and Showtime? Who's seen that piece of garbage? You know, I know a few people like that. Yeah, I do. I used to see him around Richwood. OxyContin, right? We ought to outlaw. My doctor, I asked him the other day, I had a physical. I said, what should we do about OxyContin? He said, we ought to do what Vermont did, John Dean. He flat slick outlawed it, period. right? He just outlawed it. We ought to be monitoring these physicians. If they're writing, prescription mill houses and writing these scripts, when they go over a certain percentage, ding, on goes the alarm. And if we catch them, we're gonna put them in prison and throw away the key. Enough of that nonsense. That's ridiculous. That's eating our communities alive. And the young people are falling into it because they don't have any jobs. Nothing else to do. No hope. So we got to give them hope. We've got to move to the future. I hope you'll remember me in the fall. I'm the only person that you know today that's going to be on the ballot. Bob Henry Baber is my name. I have a novel that's coming out. I've done a lot of different things in my life. This is my novel, Pure Orange Sunshine. You might see a picture of it outside. Did the Yeager Airport adoption where we planted 10,000 trees. I guess we're about out of time. So once again, thank you for letting us come. I think it's an awesome forum. I want to thank Thomas Rainey, the commissioners, you all, and the school for having all of us.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, now I will turn the floor back over to Mr. Stullen.
All right, thank you very much, Cody, and thank you, panelists. I want us to give a big round of applause to our panelists and to our candidates. Today's program. Thank you from the Lincoln Economic Development Authority. The program is now concluded. Thank you for coming.